Hello everyone, I'm Howard Larson from FrostX. Today, I invite you to join me on the journey of my current project, Epic Swordsman, which is still a working title. This podcast is a deep dive into the challenges I face as a solo game developer, continuing from my experience with Starside: The Rescue. It's more than an update, it's an honest look into the day-to-day experiences and hurdles of developing a game on my own. Please note that I'm using an AI voice for this podcast due to time and resource constraints. However, the insights and experiences I'm sharing are genuinely mine. This podcast aims to document my path and give you a real perspective on what it takes to bring a game to life as a solo developer. Today's topic covers my challenges with building an audience, marketing a game that's still in development, and setting the right audience expectations. Chapter 1: The Journey of Finding an Audience for Epic Swordsman. Epic Swordsman is a labor of love. It's a fantasy Viking-themed side-scroller that emphasizes timing jumps, swordplay, and projectile attacks. Think of Viking-themed Castlevania series. I believe there's an online audience that will truly appreciate this kind of game. However, when sharing details about my project with people around me, I often encounter a lack of interest. That's okay, it's part of the challenge in finding the right audience. Interestingly, some people, perhaps unaware of the intricacies of game design, suggest I should instead aim to make the next Skyrim game, or aspire to make other AAA games that requires big studio backing. That would surely connect better with a wider audience. These well-meaning suggestions often overlook the realities of being a rookie developer. My goal with Epic Swordsman is to create something within my capabilities, a game that's both challenging and achievable. This project is about striking that balance, and it's something that genuinely excites me. As I grow in this field, I aim to document and share these experiences. Epic Swordsman is my current journey and learning curve, and I'm thrilled to contribute this to the gaming world. So, please bear with me as I navigate these early stages of game development. Chapter 2: Building an Audience from Scratch. Building an audience from scratch can be a challenge for many people, myself included. I think about this a lot. How do you get a new audience excited about a product that's still in development? I want people to be able to anticipate this game coming out and look forward to the release date. When I created my previous game, no one knew about it and rightfully didn't care. That's fine. Last time, my focus was simply to create and publish a game. But I want to put more focus on engaging with the players this time around. Marketing is a beast of its own. I look at giants like Ubisoft and EA and see how they play the long game, staying silent for years after announcing a game. The best publishers only talk about game features that are locked in and is close to release. As an indie developer with no audience, I don't have that luxury. I need to talk about it now, while also refraining from overpromising the world. Chapter 3: Playtesting and Realistic Promises. Playtesting is an important aspect of game design. It's fascinating, and sometimes daunting, to see how much player feedback can influence the game development. One of the biggest challenges I'm facing is that many gameplay details aren't set in stone yet. This uncertainty makes it difficult to discuss the game in depth, as I'm wary of overpromising or locking myself into features that might change. At the same time, I recognize the need to market the game and generate excitement. It's a delicate balance, trying to be transparent about the game's progress while also keeping some cards close to my chest. I'm learning to navigate these waters carefully, ensuring that I share enough to intrigue and engage you all, without committing to specifics that might evolve as development progresses. Chapter 4: A Developer's Perspective. I find joy in the nuances of game development. I'm fine looking at low-fidelity video game prototypes, colorless areas with gray boxes representing what the final result will be, and I have no problem scrapping content that's boring to play. The gameplay must be fun, and everything else, such as music, sound effects, graphics, and story, simply complements the fun. I'll close this chapter saying there's no sense in optimizing graphics for content that may be scrapped, which is why I always consider adding them after 75% of the game is finished. But that's not necessarily a good rookie developer marketing strategy. Chapter 5: Striking a Balance with Graphics. As you may understand, the aspect I'm wrestling with is the graphics. There's this delicate balance I need to strike. On one hand, I want to give you all a glimpse of the visual style of Epic Swordsman. It's an essential part of building excitement and anticipation. But on the other hand, I'm constantly grappling with the fears that what I show might not make it to the final cut. I've had things happen during other developments where people fall in love with a concept that was useful in the beginning but isn't serving the final product in the end. They can refuse to let go because they love it so much, while people only viewing the final product on its own may wonder why the remaining traces are even present in the final product at all. The last thing I want is to disappoint anyone who becomes emotionally invested in certain elements during the early stages. We've seen this happen with other designers and fans. Remember the fantasy RPG Fable 1, and that time Peter Molyneux promised that you could plant an acorn in the soil and it would eventually grow into a full oak tree? I do. And that never happened in the game. The design team were probably upset at Peter for making such a promise. They knew they didn't have time or resources to make that happen, and the fans were also rightfully disappointed. Peter also apologized, but then overhyped the next two Fable games as well. Watch Dogs from Ubisoft also fell under criticism 10 years ago for showcasing graphics that were beyond the hardware capabilities of the newly released Xbox One and PS4. I therefore think it's important to navigate marketing with some patience and sincerity. Chapter 6: Closing Thoughts and Looking Forward. As you may have grasped, my biggest challenge is currently balancing marketing Epic Swordsman and avoiding overpromising. It's a fine line between sparking interest and setting realistic expectations. In the future, I'm hoping to potentially expand this game's universe and make the game more epic and personal to the players. That being said, these ideas are just seeds right now, and I'm trying my best not to overpromise. I will conclude this video by thanking you for joining me on this adventure. And hey, if you made it this far, feel free to subscribe to this channel and smash that like button. Thanks for listening in on my rambles, and I hope to see you again. Good night.